You mark it on the calendar months in advance, plan around it, look forward to it. A single day, sometimes just one day, shapes an entire year of anticipation. But who actually decided that certain days deserve to be celebrated while most days don't? Where did the very idea of a holiday come from in the first place? To understand that, we have to look at what the word itself originally meant. The word holiday comes from the Old English phrase holy day. Long before holidays were about shopping, fireworks, or days off work, they were almost entirely religious. Ancient communities organized their entire lives around the seasons, and the seasons were deeply tied to survival. The changing position of the sun, the timing of harvests, and the return of longer days all felt profoundly significant. Early humans didn't fully understand the science behind these cycles, but they understood their importance completely. So they marked them with fire, ritual, feasting, and rest. One of the earliest known examples comes from the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. In many ancient cultures, the winter solstice was treated as a turning point, a symbolic victory of returning light over darkness. Communities gathered together, lit fires, shared food, and celebrated the sun's slow return. This wasn't simply a party, it was a moment of shared hope during the coldest, harshest part of the year. Similar celebrations existed around the world, independently, shaped by each culture's own relationship with the sky and seasons. As agriculture developed, another major category of holidays emerged: harvest festivals. A successful harvest meant survival through the coming winter, so its arrival was treated as genuinely sacred. Communities held massive shared feasts, offering thanks to gods, spirits, or ancestors believed to have provided the bounty. These harvest celebrations often blended gratitude, religious ritual, and pure practical relief into a single powerful event. As early civilizations grew more organized, rulers and religious leaders began playing a direct role in creating holidays. In ancient Egypt, elaborate festivals honored specific gods, often tied closely to the flooding cycle of the Nile River. In ancient Rome, numerous holidays were officially declared throughout the year, some religious, some purely civic and political. Roman emperors sometimes created entirely new holidays simply to celebrate military victories or important political events. This marked an important shift. Holidays were no longer just natural or spiritual, they could now be deliberately created by those in power. A single decree from an emperor or king could add a new holiday to the calendar almost overnight. As Christianity spread across Europe, many existing pagan festivals were gradually absorbed, transformed, or replaced entirely. Winter solstice celebrations blended into what eventually became Christmas. Spring festivals celebrating renewal and fertility blended into what eventually became Easter. This wasn't purely coincidental. Religious leaders often intentionally placed new holy days near existing popular celebrations. This made new religious holidays easier for communities to adopt, since familiar traditions could continue under a new meaning. Throughout the Middle Ages, the Church held enormous influence over which days were considered holy and which were ordinary. In some periods, well over a third of the calendar year was marked by some form of religious holiday or feast day. Peasants, despite grueling agricultural labor, often had more days of rest than many people realize today. Holidays during this era served an additional purpose beyond celebration. They were among the only sanctioned breaks from constant physical labor. As nations grew more centralized, governments increasingly began declaring their own official holidays, separate from religious authority. National independence days, military victories, and the birthdays of monarchs or founding leaders became common reasons for new holidays. These civic holidays served a very different purpose than religious ones. They were designed to build shared national identity and unity. By gathering citizens around a common celebrated event, governments strengthened a collective sense of belonging. The Industrial Revolution changed the nature of holidays yet again in a very practical way. As more people worked in factories rather than fields, labor itself became tightly scheduled and tightly controlled. Workers, labor unions, and eventually governments began pushing for officially recognized days of rest. Holidays slowly transformed from purely religious or political events into legally protected days off work. This shift connected holidays directly to labor rights for the first time in history. In the 20th century, commercial businesses began recognizing the enormous economic potential within holidays. Gift-giving, greeting cards, decorations, and specially themed products turned certain holidays into major economic events. Some holidays that began as small religious observances grew into massive holiday seasons spanning several weeks each year. This commercialization sparked ongoing debate. Had holidays lost their original meaning or simply gained a new layer of meaning alongside it? Meanwhile, entirely new holidays continued to be created, some for cultural pride, some for social causes, some for simple novelty. Governments, cultural movements, and even private companies have all created official or unofficial holidays within the past century alone. This shows that holiday creation never actually stopped. It simply moved from priests and emperors to legislatures, corporations, and communities themselves. Despite all of these changes across thousands of years, one thread has remained remarkably consistent. Holidays exist to interrupt the normal rhythm of daily life, deliberately, on purpose, together. They create shared moments that an entire community or an entire nation experiences simultaneously. Whether religious, political, agricultural, or purely commercial, every holiday serves the same basic emotional function. It gives people permission to pause, gather, reflect, and celebrate something larger than any single ordinary day. So the next time you circle a date on your calendar months in advance, remember, you're taking part in one of humanity's oldest traditions. Long before governments, corporations, or even organized religion existed, humans were already finding reasons to stop, gather, and mark time as something worth celebrating together.